Hello, and welcome to 5 Year Club video number 218. Finally some words from me and not from that freaking Japanese book. Oh my god. Well, I struggled with tonight's video. Why? Because, if you haven't noticed, I'm struggling with videos in general. Why? Well, in large part because, I'm just not that into personal finance at the moment. What? That's right. There's other things going on in my life that I find interesting. And that's okay. That's cool. Nevertheless, I've got this commitment to make a video a day. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And, you know, the easiest video to do is the video that you feel like talking about. It's the thing that you noticed most recently. It's the thing that you've been thinking about. And for me, when it comes to personal finance, the thing that I've been noticing is how easy it is for me to keep going with like pretty good behavior. And I can trace this back to stuff that I've already talked about, but I'm just going to reiterate it tonight because if you are not on the same pony stallion train of having a substantial savings rate and seeing your net worth grow, then I have some easy things you can do that in the long run are going to decrease your pain. They're going to help you out a lot. And I've noticed in the last month or so like how easy they have made my life. So let's talk about them some. Yeah, so they're the things that allow me to kind of float on with some pretty good financials. Does my left arm look bigger than my right arm? Or is it just... I think it might just be the camera. That's weird. All right. Don't get focused on that. Number one, things I've done in the past that make my life easy now. Investing a bunch of money. What? Well, duh, Lewis. If you have a lot of investments, then it's easy because you got a lot of money. No, that's not the point. The point was, for the past 4 or 5 years, I have saved a lot of money. I have not spent a lot of money. And as a result... my retirement portfolio is now up to a level where the quarterly dividends that you get if you invest in, an S&P 500 are actually like, oh, wow, like that's a pretty good bump. It's nothing near my salary, so it's nothing that's like life-changing. I don't have to work anymore. And it only happens quarterly. So, I can't live only 1 out of every 3 months. So, so it's not like an amazing amount of money, but it is enough money now that it's not like $4. It's not $40. And so I look at it and I'm like, we're building some stuff now. And what it meant for July is that even though I spent a bunch of money in July, it was offset in part by the quarterly dividends of my investment portfolio. And when I say offset, I don't mean that I'm pulling the money out of my investment portfolio to pay for things. I just mean that when I look at my overall financial picture for July, I'm like, there was an increased expenses, but then I also saw there was a technically increased income because those dividends count as income. So I was like, oh, cool. Like those were rising together rather than, I forget which hand is which, but, rather than the cost, like far outstripping the income. So that was a nice little cushion to the blow. Number two, things I'm glad I did in the past is in the past I read a bunch of books on personal finance and investing. I'm glad I did it in the past because right now I have no interest in reading a personal finance book. I'm sure I will in the future, but right now I'm just kind of like, I want to read something else. I'm listening to an audiobook on difficult conversations. I think that's interesting. I probably need to find some kind of audiobook that is, how should I put it, more entertaining than interesting, because something can be very useful, like these communication books, but they're not always entertaining. They don't leave you relaxed afterwards necessarily. But I'm glad that I, in the past, said, I'm going to go hardcore and learn about personal finance, because now that knowledge automatically comes to my mind. If you ask me something like, what percentage of blah, blah, blah should my spending be, then I can give you a range. Even if that range is like, yeah, definitely less than 10%, I can give you an answer quickly because I have thought about this stuff before, I've read about it before, and once that stuff is in your brain, even when you're not motivated anymore, it's still in your brain, helping you to make good decisions automatically. So, If you want to automatically have an easier future in personal finance, go pick up a book. Go pick up Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. Go pick up The Millionaire Next Door. Go pick up Stocks for the Long Run. That's an excellent book on stocks. All of these will make your life easier for decades to come. Number 3, the thing that is making my life easy is the fact that I have already done a lot of work to cut my fixed costs. And what that means is that I don't have a bunch of automatic bills that I have to stop in order to save money. Instead, I just have to not do anything remarkable. So if I want to save a bunch of money, all I have to do is go to work, go to the grocery store, buy something reasonable at the grocery store, go home, mess with making my 5-year club video, pet my cats. And if I just, continue doing that for the entire month, then at the end of the month, I will have saved a bunch of money. And that is all due to the fact that for the past 4 or 5 years, I have said, I really want to get fixed costs out of my life. And over time, that means that you no longer have to make active decisions to save money. It's not like I say, I want to save a bunch of money this month, so I have to do X, Y, and Z. No, at this point, in order to save a bunch of money this month, I have to not do X, Y, Z. I have to not just don't spend the money. Just don't find something new to spend money on. Just keep doing what you've already been doing. It's really easy. So cutting those fixed costs, huge deal. Even if it's just a phone bill that's $80 and you get it down to $50, over time that's going to help you out a lot. And when times get tough, you're going to have an extra $30 sitting around that you don't have to actively do something to get. Number 4. Earlier in the year, I've talked about this before, in addition to doing the financial planning and saying these are the saving numbers that I want to hit at different points, these are the accounts I want to max out at different times, I also do emotional planning. I say, this is the time of year where I'm going to feel crappy and I'm not going to want to save money anymore. And I know that time of year comes around the beginning of summer, basically. So May, June, July, all of these times are times when I know in a year I'm sick of saving money, because typically I've been going pretty hardcore from January, February, March, April. Why? Because those are the lower expense months for me. Those are the months where there's not a lot of vacationing going on. There's not a lot of things going on that absorb large amounts of money. So that emotional planning for me meant that I was able to A, save a bunch of money in the first third of the year, B, put off some spending and then delay my kind of blowout month until July, where in previous years, June has not been that great of a month. So that's cool. I delayed the kind of bad behavior, if you want to call that. And now that August is here, I can see okay, cool. The bad month that I thought was going to happen has already happened. I can get back on track. And I'm mentally and emotionally prepared to do that because I have already had a model in my mind for this year for how these emotions were going to go. And so the emotional planning, understanding that you're going to have months where you want to save more and save less, just putting it out there, recognizing it up front, that's going to help you think about each month as time goes on, instead of not thinking, having the month pass, and then looking back and saying, ooh, that was yet another month where I did the wrong thing. Number 5. I joined a bunch of online saving communities. I did it on Facebook. I follow people on Instagram. I follow people on Twitter. What this means is that when I am in a time like right now where I'm I don't really feel like thinking about this stuff, it doesn't matter. If I'm on Facebook, I will see multiple stories every day where people talk about being responsible with money. If I'm on Instagram, I will see multiple stories per day about people being responsible with money. Even if I'm not into it, my social network still is. And as a result, I still get the encouragement to save money. I still get exposure to this culture of saving money, where it's the normal thing to do, where thinking about your finances is the normal thing to do. And it gives me a little bit more of a kick in the butt when I personally would derail further, because I'm just thinking about other things. I've got other interests, it's fine if your life doesn't revolve around thinking about personal finance. You don't need to think about it all the time. You just need to think about it enough to be successful. And a great way to do that is to kind of counteract future you, who's not always going to be into this stuff, and sign up for these social networks where these social network groups where people talk about early retirement, where people talk about paying off mortgages, where people talk about paying off student loans. And after you join them, you won't have to actively do anything. This stuff will just appear in your news feeds and help you stay in a productive net worth building mode. So I said here, I'm in a cocoon of good advice. That's right. When I was back in the months when I was more motivated, I surrounded myself with these people so that future Lewis, who's like, man, I just want to play Mario. Now he doesn't have to. Now he doesn't have to go and seek out good advice from, in a topic that he's just not into at the moment. And the very final thing, which maybe I can move this up. Move it up, blow it up. What? So huge. And then make myself tiny. Tiny Lewis. All right. The sixth thing is that I have paid attention to getting enough sleep, to not drinking too much or staying out too late. And for most of the year, I've not drank too much coffee either, which does not serve me well. But I did, I'd say in the past month, I drank a little bit too much coffee. And by too much, I mean 2 cups a day. Apparently that destroys me. Dang it. And I took a genetics test. I learned that I don't process caffeine well. Like, I don't break it down quickly, which is the reason why I'm so sensitive to coffee, but also the reason why if I drink 2 cups, it just sticks around in my system and, hurts my digestion. Yeah, it turns out. So, yeah, cool, genetic testing. So, yeah, I pay attention to keeping myself healthy and getting some exercise. I haven't gotten as much exercise as I wanted this year, but I've still gotten a fair amount. And that helps me to stay focused and keep performing well at work, to keep listing out things I need to do, keep doing those things, keep things moving forward, even when some of them are tedious. They need to get done. They're not exciting, but it is necessary work to keep the business productive. And salary is the engine of net worth building for me right now. So, all this other stuff is great, but if you don't have a salary coming in, it's going to be difficult to save some money. And so, developing good habits over time to make sure that your performance at work is not suffering is a big deal. Even when you're not thinking about personal finance, because what it means is that a lot of your health-related stuff that might be distracting, it's just not going to happen because you are in the habit of eating vegetables. You are in the habit of not drinking coffee after noon so that you can sleep. You are in the habit of, doing cardio so that your circulation is good, so that you can think better. I've heard from actually several really higher performing mentally people than me that they have these specific exercise routines because they recognize they can't mentally perform at their peak unless they're also physically pushing themselves. And I've found that interesting. Yep. So that is it for 5-Year Club video number 218. Build your life for weakness. That's right. I leave myself Post-it notes. I keep a calendar on my phone with a triple alarm for any appointments I make because I know that I am weak and I'm going to forget certain things that I need to do, and I'm going to forget things far in the future. If I have a dental appointment 6 months from now, I'm just going to completely space out unless it's on my calendar. Woo! Microphone. So yeah, I just assume that I'm going to fail at this stuff, and I need to baby myself to make it happen. And that has been very effective for me, even though I don't have bragging rights in terms of doing any of this stuff automatically. Yeah, I don't. But I'm cool with that, because if the stuff gets on, I don't need bragging rights. I've got success. Success, winning. All right, that is it for 5-Year Club video number 218. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a fabulous evening.